Hey, this is Glenn. Welcome to another episode of Difficult Questions. This one, can men and women be friends? A friend of mine was asking me this question. Obviously, we're talking about heterosexual men and women because of maybe sexual tension or someone wanting something out of the relationship that someone else doesn't, and maybe that's eventually. It got me thinking. I always was a good friend to women. I was always a good fifth wheel. I was always a good person that listened to women talk about how men were jerks. And I loved the friend zone. I felt comfortable with the friend zone, mainly because I was really insecure and really always wanted to deny any kind of attraction that I would have to women. And I kind of carried that with me. I carried that as a shield. And I think that, yes, men and women can be friends, but there's always a caveat, and it not necessarily can be for forever. I think at some point, because of someone's life situation, that friendship may want to turn. You know, connection is a real bugger. Connection between men and women. And it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual tension and sexual connection, but it can turn to that. And I lived my whole life just insisting that I could be friends with women and I could be friends with women, and it wasn't a problem. And when I was married, my ex was very jealous of friendships that I had with women. And I had never dated women. I'd always kind of fallen into and out of relationships and then remained friends with them, which was an extra threat to my wife. And she came from a Hispanic background, very machismo Hispanic. And there was a rule culturally that husbands didn't have women friends because trouble was going to happen. And I was really upset about that. You know, I didn't understand it and I didn't believe it. But it's true. You know, even when I was trying to be friends with women, they were my friends, but there was always this block of discomfort. You could only go so far in the connection because then you were going to go into the danger zone. And I was all constantly reminding myself, I'm not going to be attracted to this person. I'm not going to be attracted to this person. And at some point, you always got into this thing where someone wanted something from you, or they thought that you wanted something from them. And so then there was this awkward kind of pulling apart or ghosting or distancing. And I think that if you are a man and a woman and you want to be friends, you really need open honesty. And sometimes in a friendship, especially between a man and a woman, we hate open honesty because at some point I think we like that butterfly feeling. We like the unknowing. We like the thought of maybe finding something more interesting in this person than a platonic relationship. And we love flirting with that. And I think a lot of times in a man-woman heterosexual relationship, that flirtatiousness happens, whether it's kind of innocent or whether it's more earnest, or it flows in and out. There's always that thing. I have a friend of mine that I had in college, and we just really got along. I called her kind of the female component of me. She kind of thought like I did, I thought, and had the same viewpoints that I did. And it was just easy to be with this person. We were always just friends. In college, we went out to do some things, but we never did anything romantic. There was tension. There was, maybe I want this, maybe she wants this, but I never pulled the trigger because, again, I was too insecure and I had no self-esteem and I thought she was way above my league. And I remember going to a party at her house and she had this booming party and I'm kind of a quiet person. And I remember saying to myself, oh, she's definitely just a friend because I could never date a party girl. And I put that in the back of my head and kept that for years. And so I would go do things, but then I would want to go find her and I'd find her and she'd be welcoming to see me and we'd hang out. And there was this ease, maybe tension, but I was always denying myself. I could never date this person anyway. And both of us were falling in and out of marriages and relationships. So it never kind of worked out for us to date, but there was something there. Whether it's going to be realized or not, and whether I wanted to realize it, I don't know what she felt, and I'd never really cornered her on it. There were flirtatious times from both of us, but we never seriously talked about it. We didn't have that open honesty. For years, I was going to do stuff around the country, and she was going to do stuff, and I always just had a pull to keep in contact with her. When I got married, I invited her to my wedding. And of course she came. She wanted to support me. And she came with a guy that she was dating at that time. And when she walked into the wedding area, my soon-to-be wife was automatically threatened. Who is that person? And I don't know if she could feel an energy or if she just saw someone who was amazingly attractive and kind of was threatened by her, but it was not a good time. My soon-to-be wife did not enjoy my friend being there, and I so wanted my friend to be there because I wanted to shore myself up that we're just friends. At one point, I wanted to reconnect with her, and she was married, and I was saying, I'm going to mess your marriage up. Just me being around, I'm going to mess your marriage up. She said, no, it's fine. It's fine. My husband's great. And then she called me and she said, yeah, my husband doesn't feel that you should be around when he's not here. And one of the last things I said to her was like, see, I told you, which was, I think, kind of insulting to her. Because she wants to be comfortable. She wants to be confident. She wants to enjoy my company. We're really good together. But there was always that weird tension. I think that is the pitfall with having male-female friendships. Because at some point, in some stage of life, someone's going to feel that connection or there's going to be some kind of sexual tension. And it's just inevitable. My ex-wife was right that married men shouldn't have female friends and married women shouldn't have male friends, especially that they're heterosexual, because you never know. Now, there is control. If people are in control of themselves, they can kind of push those feelings away and that love for connection away and those butterflies away. But I think there is ultimately a problem. And I spent my whole life trying to deny that. And I think I'm absolutely wrong. That being said, if you can figure it out, and if you are not me, and if you are not the friendships that I've had where people have just walked away for weird reasons that I didn't understand, then go for it. Make it happen. Just be careful, especially if you are married. That tension is not good for a marriage. What do you think? Thanks.